Hey everybody, it's Party Elite, and today we're taking a look at the Yellow Turban Rebellion DLC for Total War 3 Kingdoms that will be releasing alongside the game. This is a very brutal piece of DLC, and I'm very excited to talk about it, but first of all, a big thanks does go out to Creative Assembly for deeming me worthy of this early access key so that I can showcase not only Total War 3 Kingdoms to you just before release, but also the Yellow Turban Rebellion DLC. We're going to be playing as Her Yi in this little mini playthrough that is highly edited just to showcase what it means to lead a Yellow Turban Rebellion faction in this game. So first things first, you do get a bit of an introductory, start letting you know what you have to deal with. A very typical Total War opening act, because as you'll see right away, I have to destroy a nearby enemy army, and it's a very easy battle to actually fight, so I ended up auto-resolving or delegating this one. We got a cool little fight animation. I love these little things. And an easy victory, nothing to worry about too much. So still the typical Total War start, I would say. Nothing too surprising there. A good way to get people into the zone, into the flow of a campaign as always. And immediately after we defeat the enemy force, you can see we have another mission assigned to us, and yet another one, which is a staple of Total War games, capture and occupy any settlement. Very easy to do. And you can see we actually have two armies to kick things off, and all around us, we have only enemies. Enemies to the north, south, east, and west. We are the Yellow Turban Rebellion. Nobody is our friend, and that's what makes the opening act very difficult, because you basically start in Total War mode. Now, in terms of playing as the Yellow Turban Rebellion and being surrounded by war, you have to be very aggressive, I find. So, for example, over here you can see I move my army from Her Yi up north and down south. I move He-Man's army. I know that's not how you pronounce it, but I can't resist, I'm sorry. I move that down south to maybe push against Jiangxia down south, while I'm also looking at our reform. So this is the tech tree, quote-unquote, which all the other factions have trees, but the Yellow Turban Rebellion DLC factions have these scrolls that they advance through as they unlock higher tiers of their faction. And what you do is you pick something and you hit research, and it actually takes a handful of turns to research it. So it's kind of the opposite of how reforms work for all the other factions. And the way you go further and further down that research chain, if you will, is by getting higher and higher up the faction ranking system. And as you can see, we're not looking to be Emperor. We're looking to enforce the Yellow Sky Mandate, which will trigger the end game, basically, where all the Han major powers will become emperors as well, and we'll all have a emperor duking situation. But yes, in our current situation, we're not able to sign peace treaties or anything. We have to climb those faction ladder to even be involved in peace treaties. As you can see, we have to be at least healed to make peace with regular factions. We can interact with the Yellow Turban Rebellion factions, but regular factions want nothing to do with us at all at this point in time, which makes things a little scary. Now, back over here, you can see we are able to recruit captains into Yellow Turban Rebellion armies as well. So we're going to go ahead and get the Yellow Turban Spearmen captain just to get a quick boost to our army, a quick boost to our numbers, and so that we can actually move in aggressively. And again, because of our focus on population, we actually replenish and recruit a lot faster than otherwise expected. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to my army in the south as well. The Yellow Turban Spearmen captain set of units there will be quite helpful just to bolster our numbers, especially because, as you can see, the AI does not mess around. It gets quite aggressive immediately. We have this early aggression coming in, and I decide, you know what, I don't want to fight this fight just yet. We're going to fall back. The AI is extremely aggressive. They sense blood in the water, so you have to be aggressive as well. And up over here, that's exactly what I'm doing with Her Yi. I decide to send him in against Chen, a little farmland over there. Hopefully it'll help us out. Thankfully, there's no garrison or anything, or no garrison that counts, and we can just delegate the battle, auto-resolve it, and complete that mission of ours as well, capture and occupy a settlement. And as this specific faction from the Yellow Turban Rebellion, we can actually occupy and aid the wounded. That is specific to Her Yi's sub-faction here. Now we get some more missions and stuff, of course. We have to upgrade a building, so we go ahead and upgrade our iron mine, while down south we push once more using He-Man's army, and we decide to go into an ambush on spotting these two mid-sized armies. I'm still a little worried about going toe-to-toe with that many AI armies. So I give it a turn, allow the enemy to retreat a little bit, to fall back a little bit, and then I push my luck and move into Jiangxia and hope for a quick battle, which turns out will actually be a Pyrrhic victory. But we delegate it, we get the victory, we occupy and tend to the wounded, and again, very swiftly, we're expanding our holdings, but we have to be wary of the AI looking at us as this juicy target, as this rebellion that needs to be crushed. I pull He Yi's army back to help our replenishment. Again, I want to make sure these armies are as full as possible. While down south as well, I take a look at the option of maybe recruiting another general and getting another little retinue going on, or maybe even recruiting a captain. Ultimately, I decide to go ahead and get an actual general so that I can use him on the battlefield. And we take a look at their military special units option so I can see who they synergize best with. And I recruit a couple of Yellow Turban archers. I don't want to overdo it. I need to look after my money as well, of course, look after my income, which is going to be a big problem for this faction as well until I grow to a decent size. You can see as well, we do get specific events and specific ancillaries for the He Yi faction. So the Yellow Turban DLC, Yellow Turban Rebellion DLC, I should say, comes with specific mounts and followers and accessories and even weapons. And I'm actually going to assign a weapon to He Yi, who you can see on this screen as well, is a legendary healer. You can see that above his name. Also a new type of general. So this DLC does come with 3 new types of generals, and you'll notice them pop up here and there. They'll be the ones that have multiple colors in their symbol, basically, so to speak. But yeah, you can see I assigned a new unique weapon to He Yi, and I have a point available as well that I can assign. There are a couple of options for what I might want to go with, but again, since money is the big issue, I go ahead with the inspiration over here for that extra income increase. You'll see that ranking people up and researching technology buffs up what's called enlightenment, and enlightenment is what you need to collect to go up the faction ladder, the rank ladder. So every piece of research you do, every time you rank up units, or rank up generals, I should say, you will get more enlightened. Now, Yuan Shu decides he wants to go to war with me out of nowhere. I wasn't originally at war with him, but he's up there with his jade mine looking all prim and proper, and he decides he wants to declare war on me. And then down south over here, you can see some more AI aggression. They roll on in with a pretty big army. I figure I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to try and defend it, see what we can do over here. And again, gorgeous game. I am using the records coloring mode, basically, so it's not as vibrant and colorful, but I like that. I like the desaturated, gritty look. And you can see I've got a couple of cavalry units that I'm sending through. The AI has some cavalry as well. Their archers are opening fire, trying to get rid of this very same cavalry that's eventually going to be charging into them. And you can see some pretty sweet charges over here, just rampaging through all of these archers, trying to get rid of them as quickly as possible as the enemy generals try to shut me down as well. But another unit of archers we're going to charge down. This after we're a little bit more tired with the cavalry units, so these charges aren't as impactful. But that makes sense, you know, we've been slowed down because we've been running around so much with this cavalry unit. But yes, we do manage to get some work done on the archers, but unfortunately, with actual generals in charge of the enemy army and them having some cavalry as well that they're able to use to circumvent my front lines, I don't really stand much of a chance over here. I do try my best, though. I send my cavalry charging around, trying to get some rear charges again. Morale is the true health bar of units after all, but ultimately, despite dancing around with our cavalry, despite getting some glorious charges that do a tremendous bit of damage, as you can see over here, despite all of that, it was a valiant defeat at best. And I knew it was going to happen, but at least I caused some damage. Now, at the same time, we actually managed to reach the balanced faction rank because we were doing research, and again, that helps our enlightenment. However, nobody wants peace yet still, so I'm still at war in all directions, which is very nerve-wracking. I decide to pull He-Man's army back, his massive army, to take Jiangxia back because I do want that farmland. And up north, meanwhile, I'm a little nervous about what might come from up north, so I decide to pull He Yi back, actually, to the iron mine as well to try and get a bit of a defensive position. And I consider recruiting some more units into his army as well, but as you can see, money is fairly low. I have to be very careful about my choices here. I take a look at this option, but you can see it's very expensive. That upkeep cost per turn will put us into a deficit. Sometimes, though, you got to spend money to make money, or you got to spend money to keep your people alive. So I decide to spend that money, and I figure that in due time, I'll turn things around. Now, you can see we've actually unlocked the second column of reforms as well, and that's because we've reached the next faction rank. So this unlocks new technologies, and each of these techs actually gives us plus 15 enlightenment, as you can see on the right little pop-up there, as opposed to the plus 10 that the first column does. But however, the second column's techs also take 5 turns to research as opposed to 4. So a bit of a balancing act of how quickly you want to go up that faction rank ladder versus do research and get better, basically. Meanwhile, we roll on back into Jiangxia to try and capture it. It's a close victory, thanks to the AI. I let it delegate, or rather I choose to delegate the battle. We get that close victory, occupy and aid the wounded. we've got back what is rightfully ours, in my opinion. But here you can see Yangju is actually sending an army through as well, while Dongzhuo himself has fallen. It happens very quickly in this game. He dies very quickly. But here you can see we can actually push for peace. Now, I can't make any other offers or negotiate anything else. All we can do at this faction rank is negotiate peace. And so I take a look at the quick deal options, and the Han Empire is willing to negotiate peace as well. And honestly, in the situation I'm in, with war on literally every front, that doesn't feel like such a bad idea. I don't do it yet though, but you can see Yangju decides to pull back into safety, while up north I get a little aggressive again, and I send He Yi against the Jade Mine again, roll in, and rather than occupy it, I decide to sack and withdraw, so that we can get a little bit more money over here, and we create a buffer city, because I'm really scared about what Yuan Shu might be bringing down from up north. Meanwhile, over here, once more, He-Man is sent to try and get Jiangling there, the livestock farm, to my west. And I do notice a little army to the south, so I'm a little worried about what's going to go down. While over here you can see I pull He Yi down south a little bit further, scared about what Yuan Shu might bring towards me, because again, he's an established faction, and you actually see it's not even Yuan Shu that I had to worry about. Instead, Liu Biao comes in with a very big army, and I am forced to fall back. And when I say fall back, because he's giving chase, I mean fall all the way back. We try to get back to the iron mine, in fact, so I can use the walls and towers there to defend myself. And over here again, you can see I continue to push my luck with He-Man's army, moving in towards Jiangling, and you can see Liu Biao actually moving in towards the iron mine as well. So I actually move He Yi into the iron mine to make sure we are garrisoned against this very terrifying 3-general army that is barreling down towards our lands. More tech becomes available as well. We decide to go with spreading the wisdom. Again, plus 15 enlightenment. When that gets completed, it'll help us climb up the faction ranks. And over here as well, we try to get this assignment going. Supervised construction will cheapen construction costs and will reduce construction times as well. So a little bit of a salary, a little bit of expense, but it'll be worth it if we can upgrade the iron mine, or eventually take the jade mine and upgrade that as well. We also up our tax rate. We can do that. We've unlocked that at the balanced faction rank. So that way, hopefully we'll be losing less money. And meanwhile, you can see a valiant defeat is in the books, says the game. We decide to fight it ourselves. And you can see I'm using extreme unit sizes, and the Iron Mine looks like it's a mine for ants. Thankfully, the AI has decided to be all on one side, and I can kind of work against that, but you can see the definition of population density over here as I try to get my archers lined up. Very difficult to do with extreme unit sizes, but I managed to get it done. I moved my cavalry over as well, seeing that the AI has decided to come through, funnel through one entry point. I'm going to use that to my advantage. Again, my archers are firing away as soon as possible. I'm able to send my cavalry out and around the side of the city, charging into enemy archers as well to try and shut down their range support. And you can see I've got 2 cavalry units, and I'm using them as much as possible to shut down the enemy range capabilities. Again, range fire is still very damaging, is still very deadly, and you can see my archers from their safe haven all the way at the back are firing away as well, getting a fair bit of damage done to enemy cavalry before they're able to close any gaps. And here as well, you can see a glorious charge coming into these archers, getting them to give up on the fight almost immediately. They are wavering. You can see the flashing UI there, very close to giving up, while back here we have our own archers again safely firing away, using up all of their ammunition, the beautiful high arcs of fire going in as the enemy again funnels in through one entry point. Foolish mortals that they are. And you can see a challenge actually comes through from Huang Zhong wanting to duel. So I go in with the duel, and you can see He Yi is actually not in a good position for that duel. He's starting off terribly in terms of his health. And over here you can see we get some more charges. I'm actually able to send my infantry around the alternate entry points that the AI is not using, and I'm able to send these units in from the back to get some rear charges into the enemy. So they've left themselves open for that rear charge, and I'm using that to my advantage to try and cause some morale damage, while at the same time, bringing down archer fire if possible and fighting that duel off in the distance. So you can see my archers here maybe trying to find a way to fire, while my cavalry back there is being pulled down as well to help with this rear charge opportunity that I find. Now you can see I do contemplate running away from that duel for a split second, but I decide to stick it through, and I'll show you why in just a moment's time as I give my archers some orders to make sure they're firing in the right spots. I send my swords, my saber militia around back send my cavalry round back as well, hoping to get some more rear charges that'll do a fair bit of morale damage, try and break the enemy's will to fight before they actually die, because one thing will happen a lot more quickly, and I'm not going to push my luck too much. And you can see He again, not in a good spot, but he is coming out on top. He started off in a terrible position in this duel, but he's doing his best. He's hanging in there, very low on health. He was even complaining about the situation moments ago. You may have seen at the bottom left corner. I decide to use my abilities though, and take a look at this. Using the abilities completely turns the tide of this duel, so you have to keep an eye on the duels. You have to make sure you're staying on top of them. You're not just letting them happen, especially when things are going sideways. So this duel continues, some pretty cool animations, of course, as we see these guys go toe-to-toe. I'm obviously cheering for Yi. If we can come out on top, then it'll be a huge blow to the enemy morale, and you can see again some beautiful, beautiful animation work there, and ultimately, Yi has emerged victorious. We win the duel thanks to the use of those abilities. I think that duel ended a lot more quickly than it otherwise would have, and then shortly thereafter the enemy decides to give up on the fight, and what would have been a defeat is actually a heroic victory, because the AI again kind of funneled through one spot. I was able to flank them, I was able to get rid of their generals very quickly, I was able to swarm them and get them to give up, and in fact I even killed one of their generals, so I sent them packing with that heroic victory. But down south you can see we get the AI pushing aggressively towards Jiangxia still. So again, He-Man has to fall back and protect Jiangxia because I'm very terrified of the situation there, while up north, Yi gives chase to the enemy army to try and finish it off once and for all. I need to stop this harassment. I'm going to cut them down. Decisive victory in the book, so delegate that battle, auto-resolve it, instant victory, and now I can move on and maybe expand a little bit more, or maybe even try and negotiate some pieces now that I've destroyed this army. And you can see characters don't even want to be employed by me because I'm the Yellow Turban Rebellion. They would rather die than betray their cause, they say, but I am able to release them for money or execute them for anything they might have that I might want to steal, and I'll do the ransom as well because I need money in a major way. But we have eliminated a major threat to the north, while down south over here though you can see pushing in to the city, trying to take it. There's not much I can do over here, and I know it, a decisive defeat. I let the AI fight that battle. But you can see Acts of Worship, a unique sort of event here for our Yellow Turban Rebellion faction. We have a couple of options right now, though. I'm thinking money is kind of important, so we might just go ahead and collect some donations and make sure that we stay floating as a nation for a little bit longer, as I send He-Man down south to try and take Jiangxia back yet again. Up north, meanwhile, Yi is eyeing that jade mine once more up in Nanyang, and I decide to move in. Again, you have to be a little aggressive at the very least, so we push in decisive victory, so I go ahead and delegate that battle, let the AI take care of it. It's a pretty good win, didn't lose too many people, get a little bit of money, and we have a jade mine, which will be helpful, so we occupy and aid the wounded this time. And you can see Liu Biao has a decent-sized army again already. It is still recruiting. I decide to stay back and not pick that fight just yet. Meanwhile, back at Runan, in my capital, I suppose, I decide to recruit a tiny army just in case the AI is getting any ideas. I'm worried about that army in Jiangxia moving in towards Runan, and you'll see as I hit end turn, Gongdu actually wants to join or form a coalition with me. They want to give me some money. I decide to try and negotiate. Looks like there's no real option though, but it's always a good idea to check out the negotiations if there's something you can push. But sure, we'll go ahead and form that coalition, and maybe we'll be able to help each other, as over here you can see the AI continues to push in. It sees the weaknesses and it does not pull back. It doesn't pull any punches as we actually get our city, our capital, assaulted. So I have to fight this battle as well. I have to try and defend it. Good old-fashioned Total War tactics over here as the AI tries to funnel through that one spot, tries to break through, and they do a fair job if I'm completely honest, but we're able to hold the line and send our own units flanking from the side. Our archers as well are able to pull off to the side and fire into the sides of our enemies, so we're not worried about too much friendly fire or anything like that. I try to get as much work done as possible there, and I also have my my sword units moving in from behind, and I've got these couple of sword units as well that I just recruited moments ago, chasing after these archers to make sure that they're not able to fire away and cause me any trouble. You can see though our front line is slowly falling apart, not having a good time because of the enemy general that's embedded into the front lines, but the enemy warriors do begin to give up on the fight. The range support of course is doing a lot of work as well, and in come the rear charges, so I'm feeling pretty confident about this siege battle, feeling pretty safe that we're going to come out on top, but it does matter how well we come out on top and how much damage we can actually cause to the enemy. And you can see the enemy is using loose formation and all to try and stay safe from our tower fire and from our ranged shots coming in from our archers as well. So it's good to see that they're actually doing that. It's good to see that they're using their abilities properly. And at the same time, I actually send my Scholar, that's another new general type. I send my Scholar in to engage the enemy general because Scholars are good at taking out generals, perhaps with witty banter or perhaps with their blades. You can see meanwhile this massive clump is just getting absolutely obliterated with all of that ranged fire coming through. One of the enemy generals is routing, actually falls completely, so that's going to help tremendously, cause some morale damage and maybe turn this battle ultimately in our favor, finish it off before we take any more hurt. And you can see the other enemy general looks like he's actually in a bit of a rampage mode. He's pulling back. He's going to pull back again towards my my front line, basically, or towards, I guess, his front line. We've kind of swapped positions. As that gets taken care of, though, I've got my archers here firing away on some retreating troops, making sure that they're not actually going to return to the fight. And as you can see, we start running out of ammunition. So ammunition is pretty sparse in your armies unless you have your generals leveled up appropriately, which I like. I like that. It's not that I can just finish an entire enemy unit off with just some range support. However, archers are still very powerful. They do cause a fair bit of damage, and with those archers coming in from the side and a good use of my Scholar, I'm able to get a nice victory over here. A close victory, but a victory nonetheless. The city still stands, and that's what matters, I think. So, you can see we lost a fair number of people, but we gained a fair bit of money. We got an ancillary as well, and we can use the ransom money to help us out too. And you can see they're sort of dancing back and forth, not sure which way to go, because more or less immediately in the next turn, apart from this coalition forming with Gongdu, the first thing we're going to do is send He-Man into Jiangxia so that we can take it back, because it is rightfully ours. That's why we keep taking it every time the AI takes it. So a decisive victory in the books. Delegate that, auto-resolve it, no need to fight it. We will capture that city, no problem. Only lost about 200 folks. Got a little bit of money, and occupy and aid the poor, unfortunate, wounded souls. We also get a bit of a bump of treasury over here with this random event, so that's good to see. We need the money. And after all of that, after that's taken care of, I'm still terrified of this other army that's moving in towards my iron mine. So I decide that I'm going to maybe discuss peace. So first I take a look at the options here. You can see the Han Empire still willing to sign a peace deal, and Liu Biao also looking at a potential peace deal. So first we talk to the Han Empire. Sounds good to me. They want peace, I want peace. We signed the deal, no problems there. And then after that, I kind of reassess my situation, realize I'm still at war in more directions than I can handle, if I'm completely honest with myself. And so I go back to the diplomacy table, go back to the quick deals that make life so much easier, and I talk to Liu Biao about a quick peace treaty. Not going to take too much effort. Just sign the deal, let's get this over with. He's got vassals, and as a result of that, his vassals, of course, sign a peace treaty with me as well. And now I have no wars to worry about except for the one up north against Yuan Shao. So as you can see, all of my borders are secure and safe, and I can move my armies up north now to take the large town of Nanyang instead. So I kind of poke and prod first, don't want to get too cocky, so I send He Yi up to the border here, try to peek and see what's there, and I do notice a small army, and I get worried right away, because you never know what the AI is packing. And like I said, I've learned that these guys are pretty scary to play as, the Yellow Turban Rebellion, so I'm taking my time, and I'm going to be a bit patient to the north. As down south over here, I actually disband this temporary army as I don't need it anymore, and it's just draining my coffers, so I recall the forces, as the game so nicely puts it, make sure that I'm still, well, not losing as much money as I was losing earlier, reduce tax rates so we're not dealing with public order issues, because that is a big problem. And up north, I actually decide to force march and pull, I think I decided to pull He Yi back now, if I'm not mistaken, because, again, yeah, just a little nervous, playing cautiously, maybe too nervous, but I decide to play it safe. And in fact, I do decide to pull him even further back later, but first I send He-Man forced march charging up north, because again, that's the only war we have left to fight, so I can actually focus my attention a little bit, and I try to take the shortest path, obviously. The game very nicely suggests which way to go, and we move up to try and provide some support. Now again, I do still need to move aggressively, because we are still losing money. Let's not forget that. I still need to declare wars, I still need to capture cities, but for now, I want to try and regroup, because that's exactly what I was scared of. Yuan Shu comes through with a massive army, and he wants that Jade Mine back, so I let him have it, delegate the battle, and I regroup over here with my two armies to try and fight back. So you can see these two armies should be okay against Yuanshu, and once I defeat that army, I should be able to move further north, because again, I've got peace on all sides because I managed to climb up the faction rank ladder, as it were, and only Yuanshu and his little provinces there that I have to fight. So at least it's all funneled in one direction. I don't have to worry about ping-ponging my troops back and forth. I'm able to move through, and I decide that I do want that jade mine back right away because that is some income from commerce and industry that I could use right away. So I move in. It's my 2 armies against Yuanshu's 1 army and the garrison at the jade mine, but I think with superior tactics we'll be able to come out on top. You can see the AI thinks it'll be a close victory, so I think if we play it safely we should be fine. Now, losing lives willy-nilly is not something I like to do, so I do consider the option of maybe demanding their surrender. They of course say no, so it's going to have to be a battle. But you can see just how rough it can be to play as the Yellow Turban Rebellion. It was not easy getting to that stage. It took a handful of turns to even get to the point where I could get peace deals signed, and just to get to the point where I'm not scared of being torn into shreds in multiple directions. I had a wonderful time kicking off the Yellow Turban Rebellion over here and seeing exactly how they play, how they feel. We were warned that the Yellow Turban Rebellion is not for new players. It's not for people who are unfamiliar with the game because of how tough their starts actually are. And this is probably the easiest start that the Yellow Turban Rebellion has. If I'm completely honest, I'm glad to see that the Yellow Turban Rebellion DLC adds a lot of freshness. We've got 3 new general types, we've got lots of new mechanics and stuff, technology trees are completely different, so that's good to see that there is a lot happening with this DLC. But yes, if you're gonna get it, be prepared for a rough time. It's not easy. It's not easy leading a rebellion, that's for sure. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this preview of the Yellow Turban Rebellion DLC that's coming with the game at the same time. If you pre-order it or if you purchase the game during the first week of its release, I believe, you get the DLC for free, or afterwards it's available as a regular piece of DLC. If you have any questions or concerns or considerations that you'd like me to take during this coverage period, let me know. Leave a comment down below. And as always, I would like to thank all of my channel members and patrons for supporting this channel on a monthly basis. And I'd like to thank all of you for watching. Remember to subscribe if you want to see more Total War content, including 3 Kingdoms and Total War Warhammer 2. And until next time, cheers.